90. Where has that gone? June 3rd, long weekend. I know, long weekend is knocking on our corner. First Thursday of the month, so of course it's Ethan o'clock. Hello.
Hello, I'm back.
Yeah.
In North Island, settled into my little office yet again.
Yeah, I know. Wow. So we were next to each other at Woolfest in Auckland over the weekend. And I mean, I think we had two hugs, one sentence, and I put my tongue at you. It was about the sum total of our conversation.
Yes. We actually managed to have the same thing for lunch without discussing it, though. So that was impressive.
That was impressive. Was impressive. It was amazing. It was amazing.
It was.
I didn't get a chance to say this to you before we got started. I was talking to, message. Look at me with about. Claire's had to give me her fingerless gloves. I'm so cold.
Oh
her messaging with Margaret, and she said, and I said to her, I think it was the best ever, and she's like, yes, it was incredible. Oh look, we're getting kitty bombed.
Oh my God, there she is.
There she is.
What a cutie.
I know. This is going to be really distracting today because we have got a kitten in the office. She's Claire's new kitten, so she's what's her name? I keep calling her the wrong name. What's her name? Luna. But she doesn't know her name, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, she's a cat.
It's a cat, but she's very cute, and she's quite perky. She's getting into things, so it's all good. Anywho, good morning, everybody. Welcome along. Cold. I don't know what it's like. What's it like down there? It was frosty here this morning, and
it's never pleasant in my situation. Like I don't like the cold. But the problem with Christchurch, right, is that it always starts off and ends bitter, but the middle of the day gets hot to the point where you practically want to be in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Which, I shouldn't complain because I know that everybody else has actual weather to deal with because I don't live in Invercargill, so I only have so much room to bitch. But I will take every chance I can to complain about the cold because, as you may know, I never complain about the heat in the summer, not even once.
No.
Because I believe personally, it's a personally held religious belief that you only get to complain about one season. Pick. I don't tolerate these people who are like, oh, it's too cold. Oh, it's too hot. Calm down, Goldie temperature. You have to pick. So I complain about the cold every split second I can. This entire season, I'm just like, I'm wearing way more layers than the rest of you. I have a long sleeve merino on underneath of a color work jersey. And I will probably go downstairs and put a shawl on shortly so I can leave the door to the shop open. But yes.
Oh yeah. So Claire arrived this morning. I won't show you my fleecy line jacket. So I had this fleecy line jacket on this morning with collar around, and she reckoned I look like an old Russian sort of fish boy.
Like the Babluka, free from the snows, waiting in line for vodka and beetroot. Yeah.
I was just actually midday vodka. There's a thought.
Yeah.
Good. It's insane. I mean, the beautiful thing about both Christchurch and the Bay, of course, is that we have these incredible frosty cold starts, but you do get this nice bit in the middle, which is
a nice middle bit. But Christchurch being the swamp does make it's damp.
Yeah. No, we have got that here, so it's all good. But I have to admit, I did dust the old triker out this morning because I thought, no, I need something a bit thicker. And it's Claire threw her possum fingerless gloves at me. I didn't say no. I know. It's just crazy, absolutely crazy. But the good news is that this is why we knit, isn't it? So I have to say, I am quite enjoying just really getting quite snuggled down. And how do you? I mean, I don't know about you. I tend to, because I like you. I'm like you. I love summer and warm, and I'll never complain.
Oh,
I just I'm like a kitten. I'll just sit like this little.
Lay me out on a hot rock, like.
Yeah. I'm as happy as. But I love the focus. I tend to feel that I can have more focus on my knitting through these cooler months because I sort of really don't want to. I hunker down and I don't want to do much. Well, you just knit all the time, so I guess for you.
I do. I knit constantly. Yeah. There's never an ebb or a flow to my knitting. Partially because I'm the primary sample knitter for us. So there's no real break for Ethan on that front. But I find that in the summer, I tend to always be thinking about what I want to wear in the winter. I think just I've been knitting for so long that like knitting a season ahead is my current plan lately. So what I'm knitting now is actually my spring pullover.
Now, dare I say it, this is red.
Yes.
Not blue. It's not
pink. Blue, not pink. It is red.
Red.
Carnival, as a matter of fact.
I know, I was just going to say it looked like carnival. This is a departure color-wise from your usual...
It is. I do have several red hand knits, actually. I have a McCoy that I knit in our classic Nostalgia with a parchment colorwork ring around it and a big high neck.
Yeah.
And then this is going to be a Redford by Julie Hoover. So it's a classic, very minimalist menswear pullover from BT Men 1. I just thought it's a great look for everybody. It's great. It's unisexy. It's going to fit everybody really well. And what's nice about it is it has replaceable side panels. So what I like about some seamed projects is you can add some leeway if you think you're going to expand or contract by making side panels. So you just subtract the underarm portion from the total garment size, and then you knit that portion separately as a panel. And it means that if you know, especially if you've got someone in your life who's coming in who might become pregnant or something like that, all you do is just undo that side panel seam and you just add a wedge. You just knit a triangle and add it in. And I've done that for a couple of women in my life who have become pregnant. Like I've taken garments that their grandmothers have made and put side panels in it during pregnancy, or even just undone the side seam and just let it hang open for them while they're pregnant. But it also means that at high wear areas, like right under the arm, that then if you need to do a repair or do a replacement, it takes a quarter of the time because it's such a small piece. I cast this on because I like to knit in pieces because it's so good for travel. And I was recently on a plane for the first time in many, many moons. So I thought that this would just be a great little travel project. So I started this actually when we departed for Woolfest. And so I finished both side panel pieces that don't look like anything because they don't. They're just two little strips. So I made those two guys on the plane. And then,
you know, the other beautiful thing about that, though, is that if you wanted to, you could create some texture in those side panel pieces. You can turn them into moss or stick a cable in there, do some funky, twisty ribbing.
I'm actually going to sew them. The pattern says, and I agree, I'm going to sew them in with the reverse stockinette showing. Yeah. So you'll have like a change in texture at the underarm. And it's such a nice, quick process because you're making little pieces. So when you're doing that, like it really speeds up the whole process. So like I started the sleeve, I think Saturday evening, and I've only picked it up Saturday and like Sunday before my flight because I read a book. And ready for this, on Monday I did not knit. I know. I watched basketball and I took a nap and I did and I played netball because I do that now. Who knew? Yes, I'm becoming very acclimated to my adopted country, everyone. Netball and pineapple lumps.
I really like that idea of the panel though, because in fact you could apply that logic across a number of patterns you already have. And the nice thing about the wedge, like particularly for me, being somebody who is a classic pair, is that often in patterns in the round, I will actually build in a wedge shaping system anyway to accommodate my very generous posterior. But if you're actually able to actually build that wedge in, it then also means that if your weight does fluctuate, whether it be up or down, you've actually got a little bit of latitude in there, and it makes your knits last longer, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's really an interesting idea.
And what you said about the rib especially goes that way. If you put that rib panel in, it's got quite a bit of stretch and expansion, which especially if you're someone who's up and down all day, like let's say that you do something that involves driving or you work in an office, we all know that our knits can kind of resettle throughout the day. So that ribbed side panel, what you can actually do is leave your hem open up to the top of your waistband, and then put a fully ribbed side panel in. And then it just sits so much more comfortably as you're standing up and down, and you don't have that whole stand up, hike the sweater back down, go for a walk around the office. And as you know, I'm not a big fan of a crop on anyone. I don't like the shape personally. I find the proportion not overly aesthetically pleasing on any body type. Trust me, you will never find me in a crop top anywhere. It's not going to happen unless I have incredibly high-waisted pants, because it's the only way I find that acceptable. It does away with that, because I know lots of people end up making cropped cardies and other things to try to compensate for the sitting and standing and the bunching that occurs, especially if you've got like a nice skirt on. But make a side panel and open that side seam up to the base of the side panel instead.
See, for me, crop cardigans work really best over a full maxi dress. So then what it then becomes is another layer within that silhouette. Yeah. So, and I mean, even the chica that I'm wearing today, I added extra length to this chica, so it wasn't a crop. It actually falls to...
There are people who love a crop, and I'm not saying that. I just personally don't like them.
Yeah.
It's not something,
It's about, and the other thing, and you and I have spoken about this ad nauseum, but it's just really good to reiterate that a pattern is a guide only.
Yeah.
It's about taking that pattern and modifying it and personalizing it to you and just getting something that you feel really good about. Like the saddle shoulder, it was, we had a conversation just before we went to air. Heather came in wanting to know the difference between a saddle and a drop shoulder. And I just finished in that Point Judith pullover, had a saddle shoulder cable detail up the end. And when I sewed that together and actually placed it on Nick, actually, I'll see if I can pull it up in a minute. I can show it to you. The structure that saddle shoulder created with the seaming, and this is a guy who's like you, got very square shoulders, and the fit around, even he commented, he goes, this feels really good, and the fit was amazing. Actually, I'll see if I can find it for you, because it was...
Saddle shoulder is up there in my like universally flattering and comfortable shoulder types, right? Like, I am personally of the belief that a raglan actually fits the fewest number of people well, in a way that's comfortable for wearing for a long time. And I believe, rightly or wrongly, that a saddle shoulder, a drop shoulder, and a set-in sleeve are actually the holy trinity of what we should be aiming for.
Yeah.
And I will not lie, I make a lot of round yokes, because I think round yokes look great on everyone. Although this one is, I'm going to nauseate everyone and move my camera. This one is particularly deep in comparison to most round yokes.
Yeah. Now I'm going to...
There he is.
There he is. Oh no, there we go. That's not the best one. Let's try that one. There we are. There we go. But I'll just see if I can zoom it up a little, just to show that shoulder detail. Oh, hold on, come back. There's Nicholas. Poor Nicholas. He's been showing off to the entire yarn world the last couple of days. There we go. Yeah, and you can see that shoulder shaping just in there. Like the fit for that shoulder shaping has been fantastic, and it sits. And there's no, I really genuinely believe I couldn't have got that fit without doing it in pieces and with that saddled construction. It was...
You're correct. Yeah. Because a seamless saddle shoulder works on some shapes. Like there are some cardigans that have a really good seamless saddle shoulder. I'm thinking possibly 7Ts by Katrin Schneider, although it's a very narrow saddle shoulder. And of course, Sode by Hiroko Payne. But that particular construction to execute is so complex. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I have one. I obviously like Hiroko's work. I'm wearing another one of her patterns right now. But like full disclosure, I am close personal friends with her. So like, we do tend to gravitate towards the things people we like. Please hold while I open another ball of yarn. Story of my life. But it is a lot of extra work to get a great fit on a seamless saddle shoulder. When you're making a seamed pullover, especially with a saddle shoulder, it's very straightforward historically to get a good fit on it. You're not going to struggle to like, there's no wiggling around or trying to sort out what's happening with the saddle shoulder. It is the most straightforward construction in many ways because it's very, very obvious what you're meant to do and where each portion of the seam goes.
And it gives you a really clear roadmap too when you're actually constructing your garment back together. Like for me to sew this garment, I'm a fan of the good old mattress stitch and I like it. And to be able to stitch this puppy together was the easiest thing to do because it just all jigsawed in beautifully, and it was a joy, actually. It really was. We've actually, funnily enough, I'm going to show you these while I'm here. There's one fit and drop one on the floor. I've just got this from Classic Elite. Did you remember? You would have had this, the mountaintop, probably back in the days when you were in the store.
Oh my God, yeah, totally.
Take you back.
Classic Elite mountaintop is such a workhorse, traditional yarn.
It is a great yarn, and when we were offered this, because of course, for those that aren't aware, this yarn has been discontinued by Classic Elite.
Yeah.
But we were a supplier had a chunk of it here, just in these classic 3 colours, and we just leapt at it to get it. So it is a classic Aran weight, true Aran weight yarn.
True Aran weight, woolly as, just
squishy, boingy. For that project I've just finished, it's just fabulous. And those great natural undyed shades, look at those.
It would make a great Inishmeen pullover. It would make a really, really great, there's actually Skjoftefell by Diana Walla. The roof is ceiling's the limit with that sort of yarn. There's no way around it. And you know who has a great collection of patterns for Aran weight yarn for everybody at home who might be looking at some of the Southlander bulky or that yarn and thinking, oh, well, what do I do with it? West Yorkshire Spinners, their Croft collections are a great place because the Croft is a true Aran weight yarn, and their patterns are beautiful, they're straightforward, and they're really, really knittable.
I'm just looking that up now because funny you should say that. Funny you should say that. Hold on, there we go. Look.
For those of you who are new to the program, the reason why it's funny I should say that is because Marie and I do not plan anything in advance of doing this.
Oh my gosh, you were so right. I'm going to put this on screen. Hold on, let me just get that. So no, we don't. We end up we're dreadful. We spend it the 2 minutes before we go live gossiping about. This morning was kitten. It was all kitten. Oh, we need to go.
What lifestyle choice?
Kitten. Right, where am I? So the fact that we actually can end up bringing you an hour of something relatively cohesive is in itself a miracle.
It's a testament to the number of years we've both been with a camera pointed at our face.
I know. Right. View. See if I can make this bigger because it's not going to let me go big, I don't think. Is it going to let me go big? Let's try this. See what it does.
Here we go.
Here we go. Let's see if I can get you something a little bit bigger, eh? No, okay, this is
why we don't normally do accents, guys.
I know. Let's try that. There we go. So this is the Croft collection there. So
yes, indeedy.
Oh, yum! Look at that.
Yeah. They have a mixture of men's, women's, and unisex patterns. They have a whole bunch of different collections out now. They have solid color ones, there's some speckled ones, but at the end of the day, they're great seamed, simple, classic ones.
See, this is fabulous. Thank you so much for that.
You're so welcome.
That's brilliant because I'm just doing the newsletter now. So the reason why this is so perfect that you brought this up is that we thank you. What have you? Oh, excellent. Eleanor's just popped your Redford pattern in the comments for us. This weekend, in fact, I'm going to load it this afternoon. So if anyone's looking at doing some purchasing this morning, cool your jets because we're calling it Thick and Fast. Just for as soon as it goes live late this afternoon through to the end of Queen's birthday weekend, I am putting on all Southlander bulky, Batch 12 ply and warm 14 ply, all going on sale. Yep, so batch and warm is going out at $7.95. This is going out Southland, just the bulky. Oh gosh, look at that. What's that? Southland bulky, $11.95. That's what we said, wasn't it? Yeah. Yep, $11.95. Because it's fast. It's thick and fast and quick and easy to knit. And I mean, I've done 2 of these chikers, and I swear I
live in them.
Days. Yeah. And I see Delene is in the chat. Delene's just knit with the batch, this cable swan choke that we had, and she did 2 of them in very close succession, and they just knit up so quickly and easily.
Sure, our Helen here at Outlaw HQ has made a beautiful, not Helen that works for us, Helen.
Oh, Helen Williams.
Helen Williams. Our Helen Williams has made one of those beautiful cabled swanchos as well. I think in that mustardy yellow from the Southlander bulky range, it was a dynamite on her.
Yeah, it was. That is so her colours. For those that don't know, Helen was the lady who modelled and looked fabulous in the Rebel, Rebel Sprinkles.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
We're really good at tricking our customers into modeling things, because I'm sure eventually it does get boring seeing my face in every photo.
Well, from Marie's deep stash dive, so I obviously had finished the Aran. I've got Phil's sweater that I want to get launched into, but I also need to do a baby. I wanted to do a baby blanket, a baby knit for someone having a baby in the Northern Hemisphere. So I wanted to start at home, and I didn't have to bring yarn back with me. I'd had a couple of ideas of what I wanted to do. Hadn't decided on a blanket, and then I thought, this is on Tuesday, I thought, oh, for goodness sake, let's stash dive, see what we've got in the stash. And I've dug this out, and so the baby blanket, I've decided to go with my Ever After sort of.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's just, and it blocks out, and it's nice. I can do this pattern in my sleep. So I've made it, a typical Marie, made it up as I've gone along. Anywho, but the yarn, talk about deep stash. Have I got one in here with a label on it? Oh, yeah, here we go. Those of you who've been with us for a long time, remember that wee beauty. This was our very, very first ever recycled fibre blend.
Oh.
It even predates Claire, this one.
Certainly predates Ethan.
Yeah. So this is, I'm trying to think how we would have done this 7 years, you reckon? You've been here with 6, so 7 or 8 even, maybe, years ago. Yeah, so 9 of these hiding in my stash, and I thought, that'll do a baby blanket.
That will do a baby blanket. Look at you go.
I know. So that's, and I thought that is just the perfect mindless knitting that I want for the long weekend. So that's me. I'm into the stockinette. And what's great about this guy, especially with the Redford, is you actually do not do the ribbing first. You come back and pick up and knit the ribbing downwards. So once you've set in the sleeve and finished your pullover, then in a very Japanese style, you go back and pick up the ribbing and knit it downwards with an exposed pickup edge. So you can really customize the length. So talk about mindless knitting. You don't have to pay attention to this at all, because it doesn't matter how long it is, because you just knit the ribbing till it's ready. And the beautiful thing about that too is that that blooms as you knit it, and you would just get this beautiful. What needle size are you doing that on, out of interest? I'm doing it on a 3.5, which is, I got gauge according to the pattern at 3.5. So I am just running with it because I love Bohemia Light. Although these guys are still labeled, if you're ordering Carnival from us, it will still come with the previous Bohemia Sport label, but we have adjusted the gauge a little bit on our Bohemia line, just taking everything down a size or 2, because, everything benefits from being knit tighter. Yeah. Very few yarns benefit from being knit looser. And I am not a fan of a loose gauge. I say that wearing a lace weight pullover at the moment. Which was, 2 strands of lace weight in each hand. It's a journey. Box 2 was not a straightforward trip to the end. You know me, I like a nice, simple, straightforward knit, no mess, no fuss, just heinously complex, double color changes. But I think this is another great thing too, to remind people of, if you're looking around and thinking about doing some color work, I think Marie and I can be honest that
colors and stuff are a little more limited right now than what we've all been used to having. You know, you're not going to see as many 44, 45 color ranges any longer from a lot of producers. But if you need extra colors for your color work, just hold 2 strands together.
Yeah.
Make your own color for color work. You know, buy a big selection of fingering weight yarns and have a play. Not that we have a big selection of fingering weight yarns called Rebel Destiny Light that you should be considering ordering, or that we have a beautiful selection in our Bohemia Sport at the moment and Bohemia Light. But it is a thing to remember, because you are going to find, especially right now, that finding huge amounts of color variety in this current market is just going to be tricky. But marling is how our grandmothers and great grandmothers used to make all this stuff work. They would just hold 2 strands, and, you know, I mean, I don't think I ever saw my great grandmother look at a pattern. She would measure you and then draw out the shapes of the garment and then knit a gauge swatch, if she did, because sometimes she just was like, oh, you know, I've used that same Jameson Spindthrift 50 times, so I'll just hold it double on this needle and it'll be
yeah.
And, you know, 20 minutes later, she'd have a sleeve, and you're like,
if you've ever, so one of the classes I know Stephen B does, and I think he did do this class in Cannes. I can't even tell you the name of which one it was, but one of the things that he has in that class, and I know Helen Williams took this class, is that he has this piece of just cotton fabric. I think it was like an old bed sheet. And he talks about, as you said, that drawing of a shape. So he said, either have you got a garment or an item that you love, or take, it's like a hint from the fashion industry, just take a piece of waste fabric, draw what it is in terms of drape and all the rest of it, get your scissors out, cut it, get the shape, and then once you've got that shape, use that as your template to start knitting to it. And then that way, you know, all you need to do is have yarn knit to an appropriate needle that you are comfortable with, whether it be a big gauge, a fine gauge, a thin gauge, multi-stranded, doesn't matter. And then just go for your life and just use, you know, have fun with it. Have techniques in your toolbox where you know that you can go around corners or create angles, and whether that be from increases and decreases or short rows, or and just
bind offs.
Yeah.
Ethan loves a weird bind off. I will bind off using active stitches from a pattern. So binding off, which this is like a thing that you can do, where you add stitches at the edge of a piece, and then you use those stitches turning a direction by knitting back and forth extra rows and binding off on every 3rd row, which, like, I'm pretty sure is an old school thing from knitted on shawl borders that I've applied to garments, because I have a problem.
So that would actually give you like it's kind of like an I-cord bind off, but not an I-cord, because you've actually
it looks a lot like overlocking. Actually, like if you were to overlock a piece of fabric and just overlock one edge before seaming it together, that's what it does. Yeah, it is in a pattern that I have written that I've never released to anyone to test, because you're going to make a face when I describe how this works. So you cast on all the pieces of this pattern provisionally, including the border stitches, and then you knit all of the pieces, and then you use the border stitches to create all the bind off edges that lead into a saddle shoulder. Then you seam all of the pieces together, and then you cast on and knit a double knit shawl collared button band on DPNs, and you apply the button band as you go up the front of the piece, and then you go back and you undo all the provisional cast-ons and pick up the stitches, and you knit all the ribbing seamlessly downwards, and then you bind off everything with a sewn bind off. And then the very last thing that you do is sew both armpits shut, because if you end up needing extra space, there's instructions included in the pattern where you pick up and knit a garter stitch gusset, like a Gansey.
Which I followed when you describe it, but I was just thinking, trying to write that down.
Yes, I don't feel confident in getting another human being to do it. That's the thing. I will claim, honestly, to all of you, I end up writing and knitting a lot of sample objects that I have around that I don't show you, that I then realize that to knit them would basically require me to sit at your house and be like, okay, and now it's time for stitch number 3.
And to be honest, most of us want our knitting to be stress free, but then also too, it's about having that challenge too. I mean, like this errand, it wasn't difficult, but it required patience, and it was actually really nice to do that. So then, for me to switch to the baby blanket, which is completely mindless, is perfect, and then I'll probably flick back and start this project. And also too, this is my can project. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do, so I've swatched for that.
Now tell me, what's a can project? Is this something I should be thinking of?
Well, you will have something anyway, but I just traditionally every year have always done knitted something specifically for Can for me to wear that I sort of unveil at Can. Thing. So there's a good chunk of my wardrobe that was all knitted and finished for the end of August. And also the funny thing that's now happened every year is often there's a big it pattern that will happen throughout the year. So last time it was floozies. So we had a bit of a joke that of how many floozies. In fact, you and I did the same sort of thing. We sat at Unwind, didn't we, looking at floozies for other reasons. And we did that with Can, and to the point that we even had a big floozy group photo.
Amazing.
So many people bought and wore their floozies. So it's really fun to sort of see what those patterns are. So this year I'm predicting we'll see. So in the previous many years, there's been lots of sort of Caitlin Hunters, always lots of Libby's because she teaches there, obviously. So there's always a lot of Libby, truly myrtle patterns. I'm thinking we'll see a few more Angela Maury's this year.
Okay.
Than I have in previous years. I tell you what, I don't know whether you got to see and touch one of my favourites that I saw over Woolfest weekend was someone had I think it's Magnolia by Camilla Villas.
Oh yes, I did see that.
Did you see that? The double-stranded one? It was fabulous.
I'm a big fan of that pattern, actually.
Fabulous. I saw both a sweater and a cardigan. They both look great.
Yeah. I don't think that I have my pulse on the finger of what's popular in knitting whatsoever, because have you met me? I will say, if there are people from Outlaw, from HQ, who knit with us, what you will be seeing is a lot of Agnes by Jared Flood, because we're definitely pushers of the classic seam pullover. So I happen to have one I prepared earlier. So this is my Agnes, which was done all in the naturals. And it's just a great, simple drop shoulder, knit flat. There's nothing to it. You change colors when you feel like. You just kind of bang it out, right? So this is going to be the uniform wardrobe of all of the Outlaw HQ knitters who come to Can. I can pretty much guarantee you that.
Well, I just find it comforting. I mean, everybody knows that it's very rare that I'll only knit something once. I can tell you right now, I'm only going to knit one point intuitive pullover. But, I did two of the...
Here's mine.
I know, I did two of these. I know, I've done two oatmeals. I've done a million Miss Janes. I have to admit, I find it very comforting to go back to the same patterns again and again. But that's what works. That's what I like, and I like changing them up and mixing them around. And yeah.
I think Fox Thoughts is the first time I've actually knit a second one of something in probably the last 5 years. Yeah. I never have time to knit anything twice. And this was because this was a gift, so I had to do it. But also because it's a pretty magical pattern, It's not often that you see this. I think my thing is I never like anything simple. That's my big problem. I'm always right down crazy town. I'm always wildly off the rails. People are sitting around staring at me what is he possibly knitting this time?
But all your complex knits, Fox Thoughts, twigs, tapestry, one of the things that I know, having been around you when you've knit them, is it's like how you eat a whale, which is one bite at a time. And that's what you do. You just do one, and it's the same with Judith.
I will say I find color work especially, as you know from having watched me knit, I don't actually look when I knit color work. Like I work out the pattern and then I just flick the yarn around the needle. I've actually got
everybody. You're allowed to hate him for that.
I very rarely look anymore when I knit. I've actually started reading while I knit now because I can. Which like I could teach as a class if anyone's interested to know. But yeah, I've started reading while knitting. But I think I might take a deep dive back into cables shortly. It's been a while, but I'm also considering making something kind of kooky for Can, like something bright and colorful and just fun. Because like I'm actually quite enjoying all the color in this for the fact that it's a navy pullover. Like there's so much going on in this.
Yeah.
We talked about my various fox thoughts enough, but like this one is even more insane than the other one. There's more colors involved. It fades in and out more frequently. It blocked out really, really well. I do love it. I think that the lovely Kathy said it was beautiful earlier, and I agree. Again, to everyone, like I do not design this. I did not pick out the colors or the order they go in. All of that is done for me. I'm just really good at following people's instructions. And I think that's one of the big things. Like I always want to encourage people to do something, kind of wild and exciting with their knitting, because that's who I am as a knitter. I love a wild and exciting, crazy time, because the stuff that it makes is just so much fun.
Yeah.
You end up at the end. And like, I will say I think I was a little sad to be at a major knitting event and not see another Fox Thoughts. You kind of like, you hold out hope when you make something crazy from the cover of a recent magazine that like somebody else is going to turn up in it. But I was hoping soon, hopefully there will be others around that I will get to hang out with at knitting events here in New Zealand, because it's a good time.
Solange is saying she's going to knit Lodestar for Can.
Ooh,
yeah. Nice. Be very nice. Well, I'm going to let you go because I know that you've got a ton of stuff you need to get done and sorted for the long weekend. But first I'm going to tell everybody a funny story. So when we left Woolfest, they packed everything down, and Deb said to me, "Can you get I think we can get everything into 2 cartons. We've got some racks. Can you get everything into your car and ship it back for us from Skeinz?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I can." So we did, and it was great. So Monday morning rolls around, and I said to Claire, "Oh, I've got Deb's boxes from Woolfest." And we got really excited, and we dragged them out, and we pulled them in the office, and we opened them up, and we rummaged through. Because tell everybody what you were selling at Woolfest, Ethan.
So at Woolfest this weekend, we had Rebel Destiny Light. That was the outlaw offering. Then we might have had some Kashgora. So the beautiful Kashgora from Cashmere People Yarns, the Kashgora Sport. We had matched skeins and a couple sweater quantities of it, one of which has already gone out to a new home. And then we also had Hedgehog Fiber, the Tweety, and Tweety Noir, and Hedgehog Fiber Twist Sock in about 6 colors, and Hedgehog Fiber Sock in about 20 colors.
Yeah. So
we're definitely in that box.
Yes. So the boxes come back, and I said to Claire, I've got the boxes. And we were like, yay, weren't we? We were very excited. And we launched in there, and it was like Rebel Light. It's like, no, we've seen the Rebel Light, dig deep. And I'm like, bags, cards, patterns. And I'm like, bitch, she's gone and put everything in her luggage, and she's gone home with it. So has he. And there was none.
I have to tell you the truth. Deb is not to blame at all for that. It was entirely me. It was entirely me, because I was like, oh my God, I have ripped the shop apart and stolen everything to take with me to Woolfest. What am I going to do? And then I was like, well, I was just mushing it into our luggage. So good news, if anyone on Queen's birthday weekend is bored and you're looking for something to do, come to Outlaw HQ and you can build a fade. And then you can send Marie a beautiful photo of your new hedgehog fade.
We kind of thought we would have our own private little hedgehoggy Kashgora party here on Monday before we sent the boxes down. But no.
So I will tell everyone that there is in the next order of hedgehog coming to us, which I've already put in and planned and sorted. There is something really, really special and really, really big coming in it. And there will only be 8 of them available. So just forewarning everybody, it is a good time to start saving your pennies if you're thinking of a massive treat for yourself. And I mean massive and epic, because I have been working with our good friends at Hedgehog Fibers, and I have cooked up a real crazy idea. And the nice part about working with fun people in this industry is that when you're a crazy person like I am, and you're like, so I have this idea about doing this thing, and then their email comes back and goes, actually, we're really excited to do that. No one ever asks us to do this, so let's go for it. You get pretty excited, actually. So I have a fun hedgehog surprise for everybody. That's going to be a wild time. And I also have another thing planned with our good friends from HHF for next year already, that I have ordered the stuff to make the sample for already. So we will be doing some cool and crazy nutso stuff. And I promise that before I let the rest of the world have at it, I will send a photo of what it's going to be to you and Claire. And you guys can have first dibs, which might mean everyone there will only be 6 available. But that's the price you pay for not working for us.
I know, it was the funniest thing, because we usually don't do that sort of stuff very often, but we got so excited. Oh, Claire's giving me my basket because I can't forget these. I'm actually sending out a newsletter today, and
what's going to be in your newsletter? So you have the thick and fast.
I got the thick and fast today, so thick and fast, and we've got 2 new opal collections in.
Ooh.
Well, one of them's called Best of Opal, which is sort of the best-selling. And actually, I recognise a few of these colours. Yeah, because we've had them before. Best-selling colours from previous opal.
I've actually bought that middle one before.
Yeah. And it's and of course this is all autumnal colours. This is very me. So we've got that, and this new one called Black Dragon, which I'm actually quite fond. Look at that.
Oh, you could not to detract from anything, but if you were thinking about using something that would involve dyed in the wool by Skeinz Cycle, you could use that instead.
Totally. And you could use this with some. I mean, the beautiful thing with this black is that you could, anything that's a very dark grey or a black, and you wanted to do some colour work, you could throw this in there. So those are going up today. Have you loaded them? Oh, they're good to go. Claire said she's loaded them. Go, they're there. So they're up. And as I said, I will get the other stuff loaded once we get off here.
Yes.
So we'll do that. We will catch up again, because in our next catch up, which will be the beginning of July, will be just before you and I head off on a road trip.
Woo! I know. I'm really excited. Oh, I have to email you my flights, don't I?
In fact, yeah, it will be whilst we, it will be.
Yeah.
Depending on flights.
Live in person.
Yeah, it could be. So that will be, and that's to Capital Fibre Fest in Wellington. So we're really, really looking forward to that. So it'll be
my second time to Wellington.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's wild.
It'll be good. All right. Will you have a good long weekend, my friend?
I will.
Happy knitting.
For my newsletter and for the Skeinz newsletter later today, if you're in the Christchurch area, classes are starting again now that my schedule has calmed down 1/10 of a degree.
Have you done Vogue yet?
I have. I've done my first Vogue. So Vogue Knitting Live was a really fun experience. It did teach me a lot about teaching online. Thank you to anyone who's watching who helped me by doing the pre-test with me on. I did trial my classes first with 2 people watching, just to make sure that it was like intelligible, because it's a little difficult with the digital thing. We luckily and amazingly here in New Zealand obviously have not been spending as much time on Zoom as others. So I will say some of the other teachers at Vogue Knitting Live were like Zoom ninjas. They were like, and I felt very like, I'm not actually very tech savvy, which is kind of hilarious for my age, but it's the truth. So yeah, but Vogue Knitting Live was really, really fun. If you are looking for more digital classes, I will be back with them soon. And then But yeah, and I met some great people. I got to talk with Josh Bennett, who I believe you have met before, who's a lovely, lovely person.
He's still in New York?
He is still based in New York. He's no longer with Rowan, so he's just doing his own thing. He's had a couple of yarn collections come out. And I also got to meet with the amazing, amazing team from Long Island Farm, who just do Long Island Alpaca, who just do the most incredible stuff. And what's really great about theirs is it's kind of the reverse of what we're able to do. So they do incredibly hyper-specific small batch yarns. They have a micro mill that they work with, which is really different from our process and really cool. But I mean, just a different type of sustainable business production than what we do, obviously. But you actually get a picture of the face of the animal that produced your fiber when you buy their yarn. And I happen to own a little bit of their yarn, which I totally forgot about. So it was really great catching up with everyone. Seeing some friends from North America, seeing Gudrun Johnston and Patty Lyons and stuff was always just, you know, they're a blessing in our industry. They're such wonderful people. But yeah, you know, we'll keep on trucking with that. I do have many things in the pipeline. We'll see how everything shakes out. Everyone will probably be seeing my face in more publications and stuff soon. We'll find out. Yeah, it's a, negotiations are tense. My momager, luckily, is always on top. For those of you out there who aren't familiar with the term momager, momager is when your mother is also your manager / agent, and my momager is onto it. So do not get in her way, especially at the hors d'oeuvre table. She will run you down.
Oh, everyone's got to have one. It's very good. All right, my darling. Well, you have an excellent weekend. Kathy Hunt says that she's busy working on her fox, so you guys can be twinnies. And if anyone can do it, Kathy, I know it'll be you.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Until then, we will see. Again, we are open on Saturday, 10 to 1. So if you are in the Bay for the weekend, do pop by and see us. We'd love to see you. We will have that special in store, the Thick and Fast special, along with those new opal yarns. I will be back here. I know, so I won't be back probably until next Thursday because Monday's a holiday.
There we go.
I know. Till then, take care.
Bye,
see you later. Bye.